Hi. Hello. I'm sorry. I'm a day late and a dollar short. I'm like a day and 2 minutes late. I'm sorry about that, and I'm still trying to get it together. But you have no. I'm not going to put that on you. But I'm trying behind the scenes. Like I really am trying to get myself together. The thing is, I just don't know. Um, what I don't know. But really, this was poor preparation, and it was also inspiration. Like I always say, I'll get my inspiration for my different subjects and stuff kind of the day of or the day before or whatever like that. But I literally like did not know what I was going to talk about until like later today. And then my daughter's bus was late. It was coming in late, so I kind of had to like stay on call for that switch. So I was, and then this is the reason why I'm late. To be quite honest, like this is the reason why I'm late. I'm late because I decided I wanted to give you looks. Right, I decided I wanted to give you a look because I was watching Boomerang earlier, and it's fall time, and I've been itching to wear this dress since I bought it in the spring. And I was watching Boomerang, and I was looking, I was just like, "Oh, they looking good," and I was going to wear one thing, but then I was like, "No, I'm going to wear the dress." But then I was like, "If I wear the dress, then I got to do the makeup," and then I was like, "I'm not going to do the makeup," and then the stuff was going on with my daughter. Bus in the background, and I was going back and forth. Basically, I didn't make a decision until like right before I was supposed to actually be getting ready to come on. Not come on, but like getting ready to get ready to come on. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead, and I was going to do it. And then I was like, I'm not going to thank you so much, Chloe. I said I'm not going to waste this opportunity to record myself doing my makeup. So that was actually what took me longer, because I had to, hey, how are you, Lolly? I had to kind of go slightly slower to set up a camera to get the shots I needed of me doing my makeup so that I can then make maybe like a little mini tutorial or something, and or some TikTok. So I'm trying to consolidate, the work of building a brand and building a platform and all the different things. So it was just kind of like at the very last minute, I was like, oh, you know what? I might as well make the most of this. And so then it kind of set me back. But anyway, hey, thank you for rocking with me anyway and coming. How are you? My name is Kiana Footman, but I'm known on these internet streets as Vitamin Key, as you can see in the bottom left. And this is Level Up Single Mom. This is a platform where I help single mothers and Black women use their life lessons to become more savvy, and do it all with style and grace. And I am here tonight because we usually do something called Woman Chat Wednesday, which is on Wednesdays. But yesterday I wasn't feeling well. It was weird. It might be a little bit TMI, but my stomach started feeling kind of funny around 3 p.m. And it was like, I was kind of in that space where I'm like, I might have to keep running to the bathroom. I don't know, wasn't necessarily anything going on, but it just had that feeling. And I was like, okay, I don't feel like getting dressed and doing all this stuff and then sit myself in front of the camera and then got to keep going back and forth in front of go to the bathroom. So I was just like, I'm going to just put it off until tomorrow. And I did. And so, but here we are. We finally made it. Hi. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and play the intro. I think, as always, it came together. It's gonna be an interesting stream, an interesting conversation. Oh, by the way, am I giving 90s? Am I giving 90s realness with the kind of matte look, the brown? Let me know. Let me know, because that's what I was going for. I was watching Boomerang. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play the intro and then we can get started. Thank you, Chloe. I really appreciate that. Like I won't say I never. It wasn't until I was a grown woman that I thought of myself as actually being pretty. Like middle school, I think everybody goes through that though, because when you're younger, that's when you're really absorbing all of the stuff. And I was in middle school in like the late 90s. Yeah, so I wasn't feeling like I was the thing. You know what I mean? But I come to appreciate myself, and I do the things that I do to just kind of enhance what I already have. And I found that there was a time, and I think one day we will go over, I'll do like a refine your shine, talking about my style evolution, because like everybody else, when I was doing makeup and hair and stuff, there was a time where I was just kind of like trying to change what I was into something else, or hide certain things that I thought I didn't like about myself or whatever. But I have grown into my skin, so to speak, and into what I feel like is really special about me, and I learned how to just kind of enhance it and highlight it, and all of that stuff. So it's been a work, it's been a journey, and I really appreciate that you guys appreciate it. So thank you very much for that. So tonight I want to talk about the relationship between the generations. Thank you. It's for fall. It is for fall. And I did use, that was another reason, gotta go back into explaining myself, right? That was another reason why I wound up doing the whole judge, because when I did finally decide on a topic where I chose, I don't know if you know that movie, but Witches of Eastwick is one of my favorite movies of all time. Yes, it is a white person movie, but it has Michelle Pfeiffer, who I'm obsessed, Cher, also obsessed, Susan Sarandon, also obsessed, the bad white bitches of their days. You know what I mean? And they all were in that movie. So then I was thinking, oh, witches. So I'm like, okay, I need to do a look, because I was just going to put on, just a cute little peasant top and maybe a little lip gloss and maybe a lash. I was actually going to wear my glasses so that I wouldn't have to do anything to my eyes. But I was just like, no, since I'm doing the Witches of Eastwick and it's fall and I wanted to do the look anyway, I was actually putting the makeup off till tomorrow. I was going to do this outfit and the makeup tomorrow. But I was like, that's a waste. I might as well do the outfit and the makeup, do it all tonight so you guys can see me, because I wouldn't have been going nowhere anyway. So somebody got to see me looking like this. She said, what was the witches? The Witches of Eastwick. It's a movie, it has Susan Sarandon, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Cher. And what's it about? I'm going to tell you. Hi, London Link. Thank you for coming. So it's about it's two single mothers and one just a single woman. She has no children. And so I believe both of the single mothers, so it's Cher and Michelle Pfeiffer, are the single mothers. Susan Sarandon does not have any children. Spoiler alert. And they live in this small town called Eastwick. I think it's in like Rhode Island or Maine or something. And they're friends. And they all just hang out, on the weekends and drink and talk smack like girlfriends do. And so one night they were talking about the type of man that they would like to come into their lives to kind of like spice things up. And apparently they have dormant witch powers. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again. I feel like they just supposedly have witch powers that they didn't know about that just kind of get awakened. And so they summon, it's never explicitly said, but it's heavily implied that they summon the devil, who is Jack Nicholson. And Jack Nicholson comes in town, and he's so different. You know what I mean? He's coming in and everybody's like, who is this man? And he just got some vibes. He's Jack Nicholson. And they start feeling him, and they start like dealing with him in a polyamorous relationship, actually. So they all are messing with him. They all know that they are messing with him. And he's taking them out on individualized dates, and they're having a lot of fun. And eventually it starts to feel controlling to them, or for whatever reason, like they're just like, okay, bad things are happening to people around them. Like this one particular woman was straight out saying like, he the devil. And he winds up making things happen in a way that she winds up just kind of dying under really weird, mysterious circumstances. He doesn't outright kill her, but like he puts a hex on her or something and she dies in a very weird way. And oh, you know what? No, her husband winds up killing her, but it's kind of like a mercy killing and kind of like he snaps. You would have to watch it. But anyway, he's a devil. He's doing devilish things. And once that happens, that kind of snaps them back into reality. They're like, oh no, we can't be messing with him. You know, he gotta go. So they try to break up with this man. And he's just like, all right. And then he starts doing stuff to them. So like Michelle Pfeiffer winds up having to go to the hospital. She's in so much pain. She has like, I want to say at least 5 children, like young children. She winds up having to go to the hospital because she's just in constant pain. Cher's having nightmares. Susan Sarandon, I don't remember exactly what happened to Susan Sarandon, but I think she was like the last one to be like, all right, I can't mess with you. He kind of had his hooks a little bit deeper in her because she had nothing else to do. And yeah, it's a poly film. It is. It's old. You know, it's from like the 90s, early to mid 90s, I would say. And so they wind up having to like do a spell to send him away. And at the end of the movie, they do it. At the end of the movie, they all have his children. Like at the end of the movie, they wind up, he had bought this mansion in town that was like a historical site or whatever. So they inherit all his stuff. His manservant that came to town with him winds up being like the nanny for the kids. And they have 3 kids. And they're each is a blonde woman, a brunette woman, and a redhead woman. So there's a blind baby boy, a brunette baby boy, and a redhead baby boy. And I'm thinking about it now. It's funny because the way they did that meme where they said this how Nick Cannon is going to have to FaceTime his kids. There's actually this scene right at the end where he's in the netherworlds or whatever, but they have like this really nice room full of TVs like that. And the babies are in their little walkers and they're scooting in there and he's talking to them on the television. You got to watch it. It's cute. Like I like that movie. I've always liked that movie since I was a kid. It's called The Witches of Eastwick. Don't confuse it with that whack behind show that ABC tried to do a couple years ago. It's an old movie. Like I said, it's from like the early to mid 90s. But yeah, I picked that one because, well, just because I like it, because it's fall, because it had the theme of witches. But what I really wanted to talk about was the relationship between older and younger women, because typically what is the archetype of an older woman? A crone, aka a witch. And typically when you see people, not just men, women too, when they're talking about the things that older women say or the ways that older women try to warn younger women about certain men and situations, it's always push, oh, you just mad, your prime is done, you know, the evil stepmother trope, the Snow White, you know, evil queen type of trope of, oh, you just want, she's more beautiful than you, she's more desirable than you, you know, she has her whole life ahead of her and you are just mad about that. And that's really, it's not true. And that was another reason why I like, as a grown woman now, I can appreciate that movie as well, because what I didn't realize until I got older was those were, like I said, 2 of those 3 women were single mothers, and they weren't, I don't believe they were supposed to be in their 20s. They might have been in their late 20s, but I feel like they might have been in their early 30s. Now, being that I was so young, I always saw them as grown women, so they were always older than me. But when I going back and looking at that movie as an adult, like I said, within the last couple of years, I feel like they were, you know, they could have been in their early 30s. At least one of them could have been in their early 30s. And what I liked about, I definitely feel like Susan Sarandon was, the character anyway, was supposed to have been in her early 30s, because she was touted as like a spinster. She had no man, she had no kids. I think she had been married, but like the guy left her for another woman or something like that. But my point is, it showed those women as desirable, because especially once they started dealing with him, their inhibitions got a little were a little less, and they were dressing sexier, and they were showing up more confident and more sensual, and just, there was a lot more fun in their in the way that they presented themselves to the world. And I also liked the fact that, he might have been the catalyst for it. He being Jack Nicholson's character. He doesn't get a name. I think they call him like Mr. Scratch or something like that, or never even name him at all. But Daryl. That's Daryl Van Horn. That's his name. But once they get that, essence, they come into an awareness that they don't necessarily need him. How old am I? I am 37. I just turned 37 in August. So they realized like they didn't necessarily need him to embody that energy. And especially once they realized that they were the witches, that they had powers and they could evoke things and make things happen, they were just kind of like, okay, well, we don't mind kicking it with you, but you're kind of doing things that don't really align with who we are as people, and you're hurting people. I think that was one of the lines. She's like, you're hurting people, and we don't want to do that. And so it was kind of a thing like, we have each other and we have these powers now that we're aware of, but if you're going to do that thing, like, we don't really want to bang with you like that, because that's not what we're about. And so I don't, it was a very, people will say it's a feminist movie or whatever like that, but I always found it to be very fun and interesting, and I liked it. And very much so, like, I won't say style inspiration, but like low-key style inspiration. I wouldn't necessarily dress the way they were dressing, but more so the energy they were giving. I always liked the energy that they were giving individually. So, yes, please do, and tell me how you like it. So I wanted to use that kind of as, the theme of the night, but it's more so being that I feel like they were around the same age, but some of them might have been a little old. I feel like Michelle Pfeiffer was like the youngest one. I'll give her like a nice 28. I'll give Michelle Pfeiffer like a cute little 28, but she had the most kids. And then I would say Susan Sarandon might have been like 32, 31, anywhere between 30 and 35. And I feel like Cher was anywhere between 30 and 35. That's my interpretation of what their ages are supposed to be. They never said what they were, but that was my interpretation of it. But I like the way that they had a really like tight-knit connection as friends, so that even when they did have like a minute, Susan Sarandon was the one. And I feel like because she was technically the loneliest one, she didn't have any kids, she was the one that took the longest for her to be like, she was like, I'm not coming up off of him. I don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all ain't got to mess with him, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? And then eventually, once he hurt Michelle Pfeiffer's character, then she was kind of like, oh yeah, no, I'm not, because she didn't really care about him hurting other people for real. But when he hurt her little sister friend, then she was like, oh no, I can't. So I liked how tight-knit their relationship was, and I liked the way that they relied on each other. And even though like there was a slight bit of competition between them, for a minute, that their relationship was so solid that they still could kind of like anchor in that, or were anchored in that, to be able to pull themselves out of the, the haze of passion and that chaotic type of fun and excitement, titillation that comes with dealing with a bad guy. You know what I mean? Because he wasn't a good guy. You know what I mean? And it's not, for me, it's not his sexual appetite that made him a bad guy. It's not the fact that he was dealing with them all, because they never, and I like that too about it. It was never a thing where it was like he was lying to them and tricked them into it. They all they met him at the same time. They all was feeling the vibes at the same time, and they all kind of started messing with him around. You know what? No. They did. He invited them all over for tea or something at the house one day. And it was always Susan Sarandon, man. It was always Susan Sarandon. She was the one that was like, when the other two showed up. But for the most part, you know, it really didn't paint the situation out like he's playing them situation. It was more so like everybody knew what he wanted, and everybody was like, okay, yeah, we doing it. You know, that's fine. Whatever. So I don't know, but you know, let me know how y'all think about it when you watch it. Let me get started. You know, I always have visual aids. I always have something to kind of start me off. So I do have my TikTok up. Okay. I'm going to share. Did I pick it up yet? Let me see. But in the midst of what's going on, like what's up with y'all? What have y'all been doing? How's your week been? You know, I always like to chit and chat with you while I pull this up. So I believe I have to do, no, not window, tab. I found out that when I do a window, I have to do something different with the sound, but when I do a tab, it works. So is that the tab I want, or is there another? What is the thing I was looking at? Okay. I'm gonna find it. I had it up and then it did this. I'm pissed off because I had the one up that I wanted. Sorry, y'all. I had the one. I swear I had the one that I wanted. I was prepared and then messed it up. Go to microphone, go to lights. Yeah, I'll go here. That's the one. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna mute now.
Go ahead and say Sway had the answer.
You ain't got the answer, Sway. Kanye. I've been doing this more than you.
You know what? I will go ahead and say Sway had the answer.
You ain't got the answer, Sway. Kanye. I've been doing this more than you.
You know.
So yeah, it's basically saying, oh good, well be careful, you know, don't get too excited. So it said me arguing with older women as a teen that OnlyFans and hookup culture isn't toxic and empowers women. And then it says, you know, realizing they were right on the second part, right? And when it comes to that, you know, just in general, when we as older women are coming with our lived life lessons and saying, hey girl, I see what you're going through there. I see you. And I just wanted to kind of drop this pearl in the ear about how that might play out. You may want to play it this way. You may want to just duck out, whatever it is. And you'll have the young girl saying, you know, you don't know. And you just, that's you, that's not me. And, you know, we have a bond. What's understood doesn't need to be explained. All of that type of stuff. And it's not just younger women. As a matter of fact, I would pose to say that a lot of that is more so with your peers, in my experience. Like, because I don't have, outside of online here, I've been around younger people most of the time though. I don't know about recently, but I know when I worked at Ross, like people thought I was their age. They thought I was like in my early to mid 20s. Some people even thought I was in my late teens. at the time. That was in, like 2018, 2019 or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, I didn't have too many people. I didn't have any younger women that were just like, I'm not listening to you. You mad, you this. And they knew I had kids. They knew that I wasn't necessarily keen on my baby fathers. They knew all of that stuff. But I didn't have nobody coming at me like, shut up, old bitch. I will say, even when I was young, when I was the young tender, talking to peers, you would have that whole, you just mad because you ain't got a man, and yeah, LB, you old and hey LB, you old and salty. I never got that, but what I did get was you single and salty. You know what I mean? Or he played you not me type of stuff, or even just, I wouldn't even say he played you not me. No, I had to take it back. So I did get a little bit of, I have been called bitter a few times, but I actually was called bitter by an older woman who was in a horrible relationship. Like when I was when I was in my 20s up until, it was about 2019, we went on a trip and they called me bitter because I was just saying, like, you shouldn't be getting your ass beat type of thing. You should be willing to at least stay alone to not get your ass beat type of thing. And I did have someone who's a little younger than me say that I was negative because I was saying, it's not sounding to me like that person is prioritizing you and viewing you in the same, or viewing your relationship in the same way that you view the relationship. You know what I mean? And I did have someone, so twice that I can think of recently. But like I said, when I was younger, it was more so dealing with people my own age and them just not wanting to listen and just saying, hey, you're negative. You're very negative. I had someone call me judgmental. Mind you, this was before I had my daughter. So this was when I was 17, 18. I had someone say that I was judgmental because I was just, before I had my daughter, I was just kind of like, oh, you don't want to act right? Bye, next. I was swiping right before you could swipe right. Because I just was like, I don't have time. If you don't want me, if you don't want to be with me and keep it together, take it there.
I'm putting this on.
Okay. If you don't want to do, right, then we ain't got to worry about each other. You know what I mean? Lally says, I think this also speaks to the pervasive attitude in the Black community, but where her man at though? Well, that's the thing. And that's why I wanted to talk about it, because you got to look at who benefits more from women having this. It's almost like a paranoia. Like I feel like they're implanting this sense of paranoia in women to not trust other women. And it's just like Erica's always saying, like, listen to the Yelp reviews, believe other women when they're talking about the dude that you with, listen to what they have to say, because it can't just be them, especially when there are multiple women who would appear to have had a bad, time with your man. You know what I mean? But it benefits the guys to have you feeling like, oh, don't listen to them because they're just mad because they're not getting what you're getting. They're not important like you're important. They're not as womanly and feminine and vivacious and juicy and whatever as you. And that plays to, they're always talking about the female. I'm sorry, I laughed at that, but it's so crazy to be the female ego. But it is a real thing when the whole gambit of these ideas behind, relationships and the spoils of the war of love and being able to have that validation of having a man and being chosen and even being exalted to a wife. That's high. Those are commodities. You know what I mean? Like, that's highly sought after. So as a woman, if you're vying for that stuff, and even though my experience with that was like the catalyst was me having a child, I have to be real. Like, that stuff was implanted in me way before that, because it didn't really go off until I had the child. You know what I mean? But what about those women who don't have children, who are more connected to that programming of feeling like, oh, well, I need to be validated by having a man, and I need to be validated by being chosen. And I've even seen some stuff on TikTok where women are saying, like, I'm really struggling because I don't want to have a hot girl summer. I don't want to do the hookup culture, but I still don't have a man. And it hurts me. And I don't want y'all trying to tell me that I should be happy because I don't have a man. I'm doing all the things and I still don't have a man, and I'm upset with that. You know what I mean? So it really is. And I want to be clear. I don't have any problem with the idea of people being coupled. I don't see anything wrong with monogamous relationships. I don't see anything wrong with people in hypergamous relationships, polyamorous relationships, or whatever, if they are really in it and accepting and content with the realities of the arrangements. You get what I'm saying? My problem with any and all of the different types of classifications of these relationships will always be that I feel like people just kind of bend and twist and contort themselves to try to fit into these relationships because they don't feel it's possible to have whatever it is they really may want. And more than likely, they haven't even fully explored what it is they truly may want, because they don't even feel like it can be any different than what they are pursuing and engaging in at that moment. You know what I mean? So I just, inauthenticity is my problem. Inauthenticity leads to inevitable resentment, leads to drama, leads to trauma, leads to broken homes, leads to, knockdown, drag out fights. Somebody has to be the villain. It leads to a lot of disharmony. So I don't have anything against, I don't even have anything against quote unquote traditional relationships. I have a problem with people being inauthentic in order to secure and participate in those. So yeah. LB says, look, so I listened, took notes, and decided that I was a special butterfly, but those Yelp reviews be on point. Not a problem. It's not a problem that I look like this. We owe it to ourselves to pursue our heart's desires, right? We owe it to ourselves to be willing to fail forward. So I, again, don't fault anybody who's like, okay, I hear you. I see what you're saying. I recognize the validity in that. But I'm betting on myself. You know what I mean? Because I went through that with my youngest daughter's father, where I had literally everybody in my life that cared about me was coming to me and saying, something's off with him. I don't think this is for you. He's not good enough for you. All of these things. And I was just like, I looked at the situation. I assessed the situation. I said, well, I get how you would feel that way. I understand it. And my exact words were, I deserve my happy ending. And so it wasn't even necessarily about him as much as it was about me being willing to not move in fear. So if you're saying that you were doing it to not move in fear, I'm with you. You know what I mean? But if you were doing it out of fear of being alone, if you were doing it because you didn't want them to be correct, it depends on why. For me, it's why were you moving forward? Were you moving forward from a place of health, of trying to trust yourself? Or were you moving forward from a place of you're not going to control me? You know what I mean? And that is what I feel like they foster in women to other women. It's like, I don't want you feeling so connected to this woman that if I get a little off, you will run to this woman for comfort and, to reinforce your strength and fill your cup and maybe even position you to leave me. That's what I because I feel like as a builder, and that was what was always, because I went through with my oldest daughter's father, I went through this sense of feeling like I was resented for my closeness with my family, because my family is my foundation. Like if anything goes awry, I know that I can depend on my family, and I feel like he resented that greatly. I feel like, and he would say, he was like, "Oh, you and your family, you always going to your family, you always running to your family," and it's just like, why wouldn't I? That's tried and true. Like, the jury's still kind of out on you. You're iffy. You're not really, showing up in the way that you say, and sometimes you're not even saying you want to show up that way. So I don't feel safe with you, but I know I can depend on my family. So why wouldn't I? And it was kind of like this, I was being penalized, and my daughter was being penalized because I wasn't choosing to put my complete trust in even though it was clear he didn't deserve it. But I wasn't willing to just completely disregard any and all of the good, the well-meaning protection, psychic, emotional, energetic protection that my family and my relationships with my friends and stuff was affording me. She said the being chosen mindset it really is. Trust, communication, transparency, and respect are required regardless of the get down. Absolutely. She said, in my mind, he lied to other girls about what he was doing because he really wanted to be open. And I thought we could have an open relationship with transparency. Listen, and that's the thing. And that's why I was talking about when Nick Cannon, that whole idea of, oh, well, I'm being honest. And you see like how the girl Abby kept holding on to that, like, oh, well, he's honest, and he was honest, and he was honest, and he was honest. But there's a such thing as lying by omission, because, okay, he's being honest that this is, or not even, that's not even lying by omission. What is that? I don't even know what to call it, because you say, oh, I'm polyamorous. I don't believe in people owning each other. But then you turn around and say, oh, well, if you deal with anybody else, then first of all, you establish this idea that this is so much beyond just sex. This isn't just a fling. This isn't just friends with benefits. This is real substantial stuff. Yet I can go and do that with other people too. But when she's saying, oh, well, I'm just keeping myself open for monogamy somewhere down the road, I can still feel connected with you and we can still do whatever we're doing, but I want to keep myself open for monogamy down the road. Oh, well, why do you need that? Why do you need all that? You get what I'm like? It's a trick bag. It's a trick bag. So you never really can have transparency and honesty and be safe, I feel, in a relationship with someone who wants you to give them something they're not willing to give you. I don't think you can. She said, yikes, your baby dad seems like he grew up in a ton of dysfunction. I'ma just mind my business and not talk about that. She said, makes no sense at the big age of 30. It really doesn't. But again, we're in a society where this is pushed. These ideas are pushed. And even let's be honest, this whole manosphere stuff and talking about it and all these people having these conversations, it's not new, but the exposure is new. The exposure to these things is new, and it's exposed so much now that for me, I'm glad that you're seeing that these were things it was more so of like a whisper. It was a whisper down the lane type of thing. So we were having these experiences, and if you can go back to South Jesse Raphael show and Ricky Lake and all this other stuff, our mothers and our grandmothers and everybody were having these experiences with the different, twists in the technology and some styles of things and the way things were done, propriety and all of that. But child, first of all, I was listening to Pimp by Iceberg Slim. I actually wound up starting to listen to the audio book of that. And I'm listening to the lingo, I'm listening to the stuff that was going. It really wasn't no different. And he was growing up in like I want to say maybe the 30s, 40s. I think like the 40s on. You know what I mean? It really didn't sound much different. It didn't sound much different depending, like I said, depending on what circles you was running in. But now that we have such an exposure to all of this stuff, it makes it feel even more mainstream to where you're seeing the normalization of certain things and people are just feeling, they were saying it before and they were feeling it before. It's just like Donald Trump. People were feeling the way they were saying they felt by the time Donald Trump got in office. They just didn't feel comfortable saying it. They just didn't feel comfortable, because they wasn't sure what company they was in. You get what I'm saying? But one day, oh, I found my tribe. Now we can all yell it from the mountaintop. The president feels this way. So, you know what I mean? She said, it throws me off how people big up Nick Cannon for honesty. He seems to be trying to sell the benefits of being in this mess while ignoring that it's still a mess. Yeah. Well, Nick Cannon, like I said, Nick Cannon is just like my youngest daughter's father, because like with my youngest daughter's father, he was all, type of stuff. And I'm not going to come at him like for his spirituality practices or whatever, but really I felt his use of spirituality was a tool to validate the lack of discipline, boundaries, respect for others, consideration. You get what I'm saying? Because under the umbrella of spirituality practices, well, nobody owns anyone and nobody has to answer to anyone and it's all love and this and that and the other. I don't have to own the consequences of my decisions. I don't have to feel bad about you feeling bad behind the way I've chosen to conduct myself. And now, mind you, do I feel like it's always the other person's on the other person to, feel bad for you or, take responsibility for your choices and things you do? No, but it's not what you do, it's how you do it. So if you're doing things, like I said, we broke all that down. What was that last week with Nick Cannon? It's the way it's going about. It's clear that that girl was okay. I hate when I see people, you come in and you have a boundary and the person is like, oh, no. I need you to go a little bit further than your boundary. Now, do you make the choice to go further than your boundary? Absolutely. That part is on you. But I'm not going to ignore the fact that this person is clearly vulnerable. You know what I mean? Like the vulnerability in this person is palpable. So I'm not going to not hold you accountable for being a predator in that way. You get what I'm saying? Like we can talk to that person about their accountability and making the choice and allowing it and whatever else. But we're also going to talk about your predatory ways. For me, LB says, well, my exes wanted closed and I wanted open at the time, and he was on that Nick Cannon. Yeah, I mean, well, of course he's going to go with you because you talking, you feeling the vibes. She said, I never could finish reading Pimp. I don't know. It's a lie. It's a lot. I just was listening to it. I think I've listened to about an hour of it, and I want to say it's like 9 hours long or something like that so far. And I ain't going back to it. And I know part of it is on purpose because it's a lot. You really got to be in the space of like, ooh, child. Said, so I think back then, as I didn't see myself in a long-term monogamous relationship until after 30, maybe mid-30s, but I wanted a relationship still in my 20s, so I was open to being open. I mean, but that's the thing, and that's when they talk about, because you were young, and how old were the other people? Like, how old were the other people? I wonder. She said, what I learned the hard way is that some men say they want to be open when they really want an excuse for when they cheat. And I believe it's cheating when you're in an open. It is cheating because it's about having, it's someone who says you're not supposed to have any boundaries. I have a problem with people. Like, there are people who, I'm the type of person that's like, what are the parameters? Tell me what the parameters are, and I will find a way to work within the parameters. There are other people that are just like parameters, and they try to make you feel bad for the parameters you have. So then you find yourself pushing your boundary out and pushing your boundary out more. And next thing you know, you in a wide open field. There's not a boundary to be seen. You know what I mean? Hey, True Mystique, how are you? So I really don't. I won't say I don't understand. I fully understand like what's going on, but I want to, because we're in a community of mostly women, but I see you, London Lane. Hey there, boo. How do we connect and or remain open for those younger people, like the thing has shown, you know? How do I put it up there? I don't want it all the way up there. I want it like this. How do we help the ones like this who are open, have become open, who maybe have a little bit of dip their toe in, you know, and like, oh, wait a minute, maybe they weren't just hating. Maybe they really legitimately wanted to save me. Maybe they really legitimately wanted to protect me. Maybe they have something to offer. How do we bridge that gap? And there was something else. Where is it? There was something else I wanted to show. Oh, is this something? Is this relevant to tonight? I don't think it's relevant to tonight. I was supposed to play some mess beforehand, but I didn't want to. Okay, I was trying to go. So we're on topic. We're going to stay on this. So one of the ways that I felt like we can be open to bridging that gap, and I'm actually seeing it so much now, is living our lives. You know what I mean? I think a big reason why there were a lot of people, and especially for me, when it came to certain people, you know, trying to tell me not to do this or not to do that, I saw them not really living their life. I saw them kind of shutting down, or I've seen them shut down out of fear. They weren't giving the type of experience that I was looking for. So it was kind of a thing like, how can you tell me not to live my life at all? You know what I mean? Like maybe you went and you lived and you might have got burnt, but you lived. You know what I mean? So how can you tell me not to live my life at all? Can you kind of tell me what to do? Because don't tell me what not to do if you can't tell me what to do. And that was the problem. And so I feel, but I feel like we're in a space and time now, especially with social media and everybody just kind of showing what's going on with them, that we do have those examples of what it is we're going for. And even if we don't necessarily get everything we're looking for in one spot, there's so many different things going on and so many women, you know, showing themselves, living their lives, being single, being content, you know, accepting themselves, loving themselves, accomplishments, stuff like that, that you can kind of get a little bit from over here and get a little bit from over there, and, you know, and all of that. And that's really, really great to see. I feel like, because especially when I have so many like younger, and I love, you know, all the young girls, the girls younger than me, you know, y'all grown, y'all working jobs, y'all probably got better jobs than me, you know, than I've ever had. But I'm just saying, like, to see that thirst of, okay, how do I live? How do I create a life for myself? How do I exist in this world as a Black woman? You know, and then for some of us as a single mother, how do I find that happiness, as opposed to, this is the only way to find this happiness. This is the only way to procure. If I can't procure happiness, I'm going to pursue status, social status. And I'm not talking about like necessarily a fortune, money, or anything like that. I'm talking about, you know, just, I got to be married. I got to be validated by marriage. I got to be validated by a relationship. And don't get don't get me started with these timetables of, oh, I have to have this by 25 and I have to have this. Like my breakdown that I had right before I got pregnant with my youngest daughter, it was solely driven by this idea of I have to do X, Y, and Z by the age of 30. Because I was like, oh, I have to do this by 25. And I did those things. You know, I got in my own house and I was doing, what was I doing? I was doing a lot of things. It was just a lot of stuff that it would be like this drive as I got closer and closer to certain ages where I got to do this by this age. And I would do it. But then I'm like, okay, something's missing. And then it was the next thing. So for me, being married and being married specifically to my daughter, my only child's father at the time, was the thing to like check off on the list. You know, because I'm like, all right, I'm making good money. I'm taking care of me. I'm taking care of her. You know, we ain't rich, but we're comfortable. It's doable for me. You know, I can go to Chili's when I want. Yeah, whatever it is. I was happy. But that idea of, but I can't really truly rest until I've achieved this thing. And you see it so many times, like even when we're in the comments of these videos we're watching and in the chats and stuff, whenever we start having these conversations with the men, it's always, where's your man? Or you don't have a man, or everything is about the man. And even when you say, oh, I got a degree, oh, well, that's not going to get you a man. It's because you're supposed to always be thinking everything that you do from the moment you're born is supposed to surround this idea of this man that you've never even met. And if you aren't thinking that way, which was really interesting, I should have queued it up. I'm not going to try to find it. But like those TikToks where those women were just like, look, I'm a wife. Nothing wrong with that. And if you know what you want, go for what you want. Not a problem. But that's basically what you're supposed to do. But the thing is, like, what happens to those women who did that and then got it, and then they're just like, this ain't it. And there is a woman, I might go ahead and play that now because will it open? Hold on, y'all. So I'm going to share. It's a lady that where is it? Not that one. That one. It's a lady that
So what's so funny to me is that the majority of the like negative comments, and there haven't been a lot, the majority of everything has been great. And I've been sharing my life on social media for 5 years, and one thing.
Not yet, girl. This is a lady who she got married, and I believe she got married at like 18 or something. So she married her childhood sweetheart. Apparently, she has a YouTube channel. It's called Keto something. What is it called? House of Keto. It's on YouTube. I've never heard of this woman till today, mind you. I saw her on TikTok. House of Keto. She got married at like 18, her high school sweetheart or her childhood sweetheart. She cheated on him with her boss. Her boss is 18 years older than her. And she already had a child with her husband at the time. She wound up marrying the boss, like divorcing the husband, marrying the boss. And then now her and the boss are going through a divorce, and she's pregnant with her ex-husband, the childhood sweetheart's baby. So it's a lot. I was just like, what? Like I had to go back in and try to find something to be able to kind of catch up what was going on. This one isn't. Yeah, I'm not even going through all that because it's weird on the computer. I'm not going to worry about it. It's hard to navigate TikTok on the computer screen. So I would just say her name is House of Keto on there. If you want to go and try to, the playlist is called If You're New Here or something like that. If you want to go and see what that be about, because it's a lot. LB said she was 22, he was 31. Well, how old were the women, the other women? And True Mystique says she's fighting. Oh, everybody's getting sick. Yeah, I didn't feel good yesterday. I still don't know exactly what that was. She says, thank you, London Link. I really hope you get better. But yeah, I don't know. So that being said, I'm going to open up the floor to anyone that wants to come on and talk about it. And also, like, even you see we all talk about Disney movies and stuff now, but you go back to like Tangled with Mother Gothel and Snow White with the Evil Queen and stuff like that. It's always this idea of this old woman who don't want this young girl to shine, you know, trying to steal her thunder, try to steal her shine by keeping her away or killing her or whatever like this. And it's just like, most of us older women just don't want to see nobody get hurt the way we got hurt. You know, it's just like, this is awful. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. And I see you and you see them, they so cute and they seem nice and everything like that. Or you can see the toll that stuff is taking on them. You can see them turning bitter and mean and aggressive and angry and stuff. And you're just like, you don't have to live like this. Like, you can be happy too. And I would like, and I see it. Like, it's not, this isn't even I hope that this doesn't always, I don't come off like whiny and like, oh, I wish. Most of the time, I'm pretty optimistic. And as I'm talking about it, I feel like I do see more of a positive interaction between older women and younger women. And it really is refreshing to be able to see, like I said, that stuff on TikTok where a lot of the girls are saying the same thing. They're saying, you know, me railing against the machine saying, hey, I'm free and I'm expressing myself and blah, blah, blah. And going, you know, they were kind of right. They were kind of right about what's going on. Because ultimately, who benefits? Who benefits from it? You know what I mean? And yes, you may say, oh, you get the money and this and that. And you do get money. But like, if you know what you're doing with the money, because how many times do you see people and they're like, oh yeah, I was getting fast money, but I didn't know what to do with it. You know, it was like money in, money out, money in, money out. And a lot more people are money savvy now too, though. So like with the strippers, I will hope the strippers and you know, and the OnlyFans are buying property and things like that. But I believe they are. She said, my age and younger peeped that after it was men's and queer identity. Men's and queer identifying women people most likely. Okay. She said he likes a lesbian. Stop it. Okay. She said it's so backwards. It's not backwards. It's about dominance. If this is a person who clearly gets off on a control thing, I could see them wanting to be with a stud or something because they're feeling like they're still the dominant man. And the same thing with a feminine presenting male. It's like, I'm the manliest man here, you know. And with the stud, you know, all men, even most men who are just completely straight, have this fantasy of breaking down a stud, breaking down a masculine presenting woman. You get what I'm saying? It's the idea of, oh, I'm that much of a man that I can convert her back or whatever. It's exhausting. Like, even just sitting there formulating the thoughts in my mind and saying that is exhausting. It's exhausting. Let's see here. So, oh yeah, and I wanted to talk about, I didn't want to talk about it, but I am going to talk about it because it does fit in there. Like I said, for me, it was my peers. It wasn't about older women or younger women. Actually, well, I had a run-in with older and younger women. They were all in a family, like when I turned 18, but that was a weird situation. Maybe I'll do a story time about that one time. But Danny Lay and what's that girl name? B. Simone. And does anyone know, is B. Simone King Karan's baby mother? I feel like I remember them, and I don't know. I'm gonna put a little more lipstick on because my lips are feeling dry. Sorry. That's problem. But yeah, Danny Lay and B. Simone. So you have this situation where I do remember B. Simone was like hype about the baby. I don't remember whether or not he was confirmed to have been messing with Danny Lay at that time when she first started her stuff about just being so thirsty for him or whatever. I don't remember if Danny Lay was actually a factor in things. I know he was with his other baby mom. But anyway, Danny Lay allegedly said something to producers. According to Danny Lay, she's saying like the subject was brought up to her, and since they asked, she was like, well, I would prefer if she wasn't there. You know, if I had the option, I would prefer if she wasn't there. And so she wasn't there at her job that day to do what she does. And so when it comes to stuff like that, and apparently they were messing around with each other, which that's news to me. I mean, it's not surprising news, but it is news to me because all I ever knew about it was that she wanted something to happen between them two, but it had never happened as far as I know. But the thing about stuff like, first of all, you already know how that's going to go down in those type of situations. There's always those type of men that are just straight up dogs that are surrounded by women who will do everything but not mess with the guy. You know what I mean? Like they will be mad at everybody but themselves for messing with the guy, or but the guy. Oh, they'll be mad at the guy, but they won't ever be mad enough at the guy to really just stop dealing with the guy unless it becomes like intolerable, like the situation where she was just completely put on Front Street, by him. Because truth be told, if none of that had ever happened, she would still be messing with him. Like they would still be making appearances and kissy facing and whatever. Like that still would have been going on. But it was the publicity of it all. It was the fact that there was nowhere for her to hide, to hide behind this veneer of, oh, well, this is something and this is going somewhere. It was straight up him in front of millions saying, you ain't nothing, you never was nothing, I don't know what you're talking about. That whole you knew what it was thing. But even at that, I don't even know when this supposedly happened. I don't know if this happened prior to that or after that, because I don't watch Wildin' Out. I don't follow Danny Lay. I don't follow B. Simone. So I don't know what the timeline is with any of this, but it's really silly. It's not. I will say this because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it wasn't that big of a deal." I don't play when it comes to like, if you don't like me and I don't like you, I don't pretend. I'm not going to pretend. So worry me in Danny Lay's position, I wouldn't have necessarily wanted her to be there. However, you ain't going to see me sweat. So she would have been there because I wouldn't have been the one to say, hey, I'd have been like, look, this is where she worked. Let her be at work. And you would have thought she wasn't there the way I would have acted, because I would have just acted like she wasn't there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good at pretending people ain't there. People that I don't want to see or that I don't mess with like that, you ain't going to bother me because you ain't there as far as I'm concerned. You don't exist. So I would never, and that's one of the things that I just kind of is unfortunate for me with Danny Lay. Like, she always winds up in a situation where she just looks pressed. She always finds a way to look pressed. Child. everything but comedy. Everything but like actual, entertainment. She said, I was in a drive-thru. I'm gonna have to play back that reaction. You're right. He definitely has a thing for dominance. You don't even be when you're too close to the situation. Somebody could say something. You just be like, "How didn't I see that? How could I have missed that?" It's clearly a thing of dominate. Was that the one that you said? I forget what you said. He said, but it was basically a thing like, I just wanted to see if I could do. I just wanted to see what you was gonna let me do, or whatever, something like that. Yeah. A lot going on there. Too much and not enough. So with Danny Lay and B Simone, now the whole B Simone thing. B Simone is, we already know B Simone is a B Simone. Like, she's done a lot of questionable things since she's been given a platform to be seen. You know what I mean? I don't know. I won't say I shouldn't be talking on it, but I don't know a lot about, like, I didn't do any kind of research, or everything that I've seen has just been in passing, because I did not actively go and look for any information on any of these people and what's going on. That's not true. I did see a snippet of Danny Lee spinning a yarn about how it wasn't really her saying, I don't want her there. It was more so like they asked me, and I said, well, if you can make her not be there, that would be great, type of thing. But I mean, listen, at this point, I honestly wouldn't even have addressed it. If I were Danny Lay at this point, I'd have just been like, that was then, this is now, we on to some new stuff. What did Jamie Foxx say in Dreamgirls? He said, enough of hellos. Now we talking about goodbyes. No more goodbyes. Now we saying hellos. This is new. I would be on some new stuff, because I hate for her that it seems like anything and everything that is noteworthy about her has to do with her relationship, and indirectly, directly or indirectly, with him. I have not heard no, I did hear the new music. It was about him. And that was the only song, but I'm not seeing, it's still not even getting played. Like, when Summer Walker stuff hit, it hit. When Summer Walker album came out, the streets was waiting. It just went pow, 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 pow. And, it kind of solidified her as one of the cornerstone female R&B artists of this era. I feel like that album, and I'm not saying because of whether it's good or bad, I'm saying like just the impact of it. It was the right thing at the right time. But Danny Lay is just kind of like, okay, girl. Like, nobody, but other than that, nobody's talking about her outside of this messiness with her baby father. And I mean, I hate that for her. Like, I hate that for her. But that's what happens when you get so caught up in. And I want to know, like, where are her solid female relationships? Because I feel, and I have to give credit where credit is due. My friend, at the time, Ashley, when I was creating Level Up Single Mom, it wasn't always Level Up Single Mom. It was Level Up, but my page name and the name of the book was Level Up: How to Get Over Your Child's Father. So it made it seem like everything was about getting over your child's father. So it was like, it was centering him and that experience in the full experience of this platform. And she said to me one day, she was like, all right, enough of that. This is about so much more than that. Like, you got fashion, you got all types of stuff going on, that all types of avenues that you're planning on going down or whatever. Like, stop talking about that, stop making it about that. And so then I had to actually, like, kind of pivot and make it into Level Up Single Mom. You know what I mean? And really, and honestly, that kind of opened my mind up so much, because I was like, I was inadvertently, all my content was, oh yeah, and this aspect of the breakup, and this aspect of the experience of being with this guy. And yes, do I bring it in? Do I speak about it? Do I have anecdotes and stuff like that? Sure. But generally, we're talking about a lot of different things. And I'm able to kind of expand it, not just to me. Like, it was never just about me for me. But when I'm talking about these other people and I'm talking about these different things, I do feel like it is more of a conversation amongst everyone who's here, as opposed to just you witnessing my testimony. You know what I mean? And so it's really, really important to like be able to define yourself outside of whatever type of situation, even if it is a good relationship and a good marriage. That's something else I did want to talk about, because so like I said, I love YouTube. I've been a YouTube head for a very long time now. And all y'all know who Quinta is now. If you didn't know her from YouTube, you know her from Abbott Elementary. But she came from BuzzFeed. And BuzzFeed used to run the streets of YouTube. Okay, BuzzFeed was it. And when I'm talking like, was it the 2010s or whatever? The 2010s, like maybe the mid 2010s. Early to mid 2010s, BuzzFeed was the place to be. Everybody that was trying to be, that couldn't necessarily be a content creator on their own, or didn't feel like they could be a content creator on their own, and kind of did a shortcut of working at BuzzFeed. And what BuzzFeed would do is they would take content creators, and you would have to make stuff, but it was owned by BuzzFeed, and it was promoted by BuzzFeed. So anyway, Quinta was there around the same time that these guys, those 4 guys, they wound up being called the Try Guys. And they're called the Try Guys because they would try different things. So like one thing, I think they did these things when they were at BuzzFeed still. They tried dressing up as, what's it called? As drag queens. And they tried, that machine that simulates labor pains and cramps and stuff. They tried that. And so anyway, I used to watch it a lot. They had that series, and then eventually they were able to leave BuzzFeed and take that with them. I don't know how they did that, because I remember a lot of people were like mad. They were saying that they would work at BuzzFeed and then BuzzFeed would take their intellectual property. They signed a contract or whatever. They were able to take Try Guys though and make it into their own platform. It's 4 guys. It's 3 white guys and an Asian guy. And the Asian guy wound up coming out, I think, on BuzzFeed. But anyway, long story short, nice people, feel good, buddy stuff. So this one particular guy, he is the whitest of white men. You know what I mean? Like, just so white. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, if we're talking about the divestors and people talking about, what is better on the other side, you know what I mean? This is the whitest of white men. He was I think he was the first to get married, and he was always talking about his wife, his girlfriend at the time, and then his fiance, and then his wife. His wife. Come to find out within the last, hey, Themis, he's been cheating on his wife. And he cheated on his wife with another person who worked with them at BuzzFeed and wound up coming with them to where they were at. And she's been with her person for like a decade or so, I think. So it's messy is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's really, really messy. But if you, from the outside looking in, if you're somebody who was watching, you would have never thought it would have been him. You would have never thought it would have been him. And so that's what I'm saying when it comes to like having that identity. And then what the ladies say. And I'm not saying like I feel like, oh, she should have left him or nothing like that. I'm not that invested in, whatever she's choosing to do. But I will say her response was like, oh, the most important thing to us is our family type of thing. And like, those are the things that's the expectation. That is the expectation of men, is like, you are supposed to value the family. I feel like you're supposed to, as a woman, value the family even through the times when the men don't value the family. Like that's how I read it. Yes, per. I'm giving now. Let me know. Petty theme is y'all just coming in. Alicia, hi Alicia, welcome. Am I giving 90s? Because I was watching Boomerang today and I got inspired. That's why I was late. Yeah. So I'm saying that to say, like, even it is this pure white man, just all the way white man. And they little white babies and everything like that. And he was the one just always, oh, my wife. It's hard for me anyway. I don't know about anybody else. It's hard for me. Hey, Grace, to understand. It's not hard for me to understand, but it's hard for me to metabolize this idea that as a woman, I'm supposed to value family, and I'm the one breaking up the family, and I'm the one taking the black man out of the house because I reserve the right to look at what's actually happening in the moment and say, okay, your level of commitment is not giving. And so therefore, I'm going to go ahead and withdraw my commitment. You've breached the contract. And so now I take the right to dissolve the merger, if you will. And this idea that as a woman, that makes me a bad woman and therefore a bad person. And when you have younger women or older women, saying to younger women, look, I did it that way, but I did it that way because I felt like I had to. And if I didn't feel like I had to, I would have done it different. Or if I could go back, even with circumstances being the way they were, I still would do it different because it didn't pan out for me. It didn't give me what I thought it was going to give me. Or it didn't. And even talking to the children of these people who were just like, hey, I prioritize the family. You'll hear so many kids saying, I wish my mom would have left my dad. We would have been so much better off. They would have been better off as friends or, whatever. Like, because there's no way I said it about Abby the other day. I take umbrage with the idea that people have to dishonor themselves in order to honor these institutions. So I had to dishonor myself in order to honor family, in order for family to be, said it didn't give what needed to be gave. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not sure what you're talking about, rather. Oh, thank you, Alicia. Unless you try to play me, Davis. I don't know, because you get a little spicy sometimes. I don't know. It made me lose my train of thought. Oh, yes. So in order to honor these institutions, just like, when they were like, oh, Donald Trump is the president, well, we have to honor the space of the president. And it's just like, I hate it with a passion when a man does something that is dishonorable to themselves, to their wife, to their children, to their community, whatever, that puts themselves in a position to lose out on what they have built. But then it's put on, and it's not even just put on the woman that he's with. It's put on the community as a whole to say, oh, no, it's cool because he did all this other stuff. So we need to just let that stuff slide. We need to just let that stuff slide because he did all this other stuff. So he doesn't have to, hold himself down, but everybody else is expected to hold him down. Like, what is that? Themis says you said you would do it differently because it didn't. Yeah, it didn't give. It didn't give what it was supposed to have given. It reminds me of thank you, Themis. It reminds me of Game of Thrones when Cersei who was Cersei talking to? I think she was talking to Ned. This wasn't like the first season, but she was explaining to Ned like how excited she was to be marrying the king, and then she marries him. And he's a drunkard and he's a cheater and he just didn't really see, and he only wanted Ned's dead sister. And he was just ruthlessly open about it. He didn't bother trying to reassure Cersei at all, or, you know, appreciate Cersei at all, being that was his wife. And there's so many women with that story of not necessarily in that bad or to that degree, but just like the man didn't appreciate me, or the man took me for granted, or the man just assumed that there is this assumption that part of the job description of being a wife is that you turn the other cheek, that you let all this other stuff happen because you should be happy enough with the title of being a wife, because not every woman makes it to the status of a wife. Like, and that's just not enough anymore. It's not enough. That title's not enough. And what does it mean when, as a wife, it's seeming like you don't get monogamy, you don't get consideration, what you say, how you feel, where you think we should go as a family, but is not, you know, it never means as much as the man. Yeah, the man can say yes or no. What was that dumbass conversation we were having? Or we had the conversation often over on your channel, Themis, right? Where it's just like, oh, well, you know, yeah, we could have conversations, but the man makes the final decision. Like, ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. But yeah, he was basically like, you cool and all, but yeah, you competing with the ghost. Yeah, like you're competing. But aren't we all? I find that a lot of time women are competing with the ghost of the Madonna of what a wife should be. And or even if you are that Madonna, you got to compete with that freaky hoe. Because you see that a lot where guys will get that quintessential wife material, but then they don't want to defile her, or she's just so, you know, Madonna like that she just can't get in touch with you at her freaky side. And so now that, oh, well, I have needs too type of thing. So it's like you're always positioned to be lacking. So, and then the lack that you have, because it's your lack, it's your failure, you're supposed to compensate by allowing the bullshit. You're supposed to compensate by going, oh, well, I'm lacking in the bedroom and he's a man, so he needs that freaky stuff. I can't do it. Or you be giving him the freaky stuff or whatever, but he needs variety. He works hard. You know, it's so much stuff. And then as the older women, when you come in and you're looking at all this stuff and you're going, I'll be damned. And you start putting it all together and then you're trying to tell, don't do it, girl. Or just take a minute, girl, and think about it. Whatever. Then they hit you with the, oh, you just old and bitter and used up and nobody wants you. So it's crazy. So, ooh, are we? She said, my baby's in the car. I'll catch up with you. All right, girl. Yeah, I'm going to see if anybody wants to say a few words or whatever. You know, because I really pretty much said what I wanted to say and opened up the conversation in the way that I wanted to open up the conversation. But yeah, like I feel like that as the older women, that the best thing we can do is just live well. My baby is so cute. So my baby girl, the one that drew the picture, she was like, I like to watch this Korean lady. She just lives her life. And you never see her face, but she cooks her meals and she goes on little day trips and stuff and makes gifts and she sews and all types of things. So we were watching it just to wind down at night. We were watching it and my baby was like, she lives a good life. No, she said she lives a proper life. And I said, oh, what's a proper life? And she said, a good life. And I said, well, what makes it a good life? You know, is it that she's just doing stuff she likes to do and everything? She said, yeah. And I said, well, do you want to live a good life like that? And she said, yeah. I said, and I asked her, I said, would you want to have babies or anything? And she said, no. I said, well, I want you to live the good life you want to live too. But that's why I say it's so important to be able to see things see, I'm so grateful that I didn't have cable when I was a kid, because I got to watch public television, and I got to watch those international shows about cooking and travel and just life in other places. You know what I mean? To see that there is a different way to live. I'm really grateful that we have so many different examples of Black women, not because, like I said, Witches of Eastwick for me it resonated with me, the power that those women had, and the camaraderie that they had, and you know, the trust in themselves and what was right, and the willingness to stand up and say, you know, okay, this is fun, this has been fun, but this is not for me anymore. And yes, this person is hurting me, but we're going to band together, we're going to persevere, and we're going to overcome, you know, whatever. They were white women though. Like, and if I can go back, pretty much any movie Sandra Bullock was in, Practical Magic, what's that movie? Hope Floats, Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood. You know, all these different Sandra Bullock movies. I had so many movies that were about the journey of womanhood and tapping into those relationships with older women and with your peers and stuff like that. But it wasn't Black movies. There weren't Black women. They were white women. You know what I mean? But I still held on to those ideals and saying, I want that for me. So it makes me so happy when we're watching Alicia, and we're watching Erica, and we're watching Stephanie, and we're watching Deanne, and we're watching, who else am I missing? I can't think of it right, but we're watching everybody. You know what I mean? And I'm happy. I'm ecstatic. I'm honored. I am pleased as punch to be able to make my contribution too. And I guess so I will finish with a call to action of anybody else's, and the men too. We need more men, and we have Themis, but he can't carry it all on his own. We need to see more spaces where women can be championed by men, and where women can be protected by men. You know what I mean? Where men can speak out and say, okay, this just doesn't make logical sense to me. You know, they're not just going with the flow and say, and this isn't an indictment of anybody. I'm not saying it like, oh, you're not doing what you need to do. I'm just saying, like, more. Give me more. I want more. I'm loving it. We just need to keep being happy and being happy out loud. Being happy out loud, being fulfilled out loud, pursuing what makes us happy and fulfills us out loud. You know what I mean? And Deanne was in a Bible study, not this week, but a couple of weeks ago. She was saying, well, she always said that we're not supposed to be beating everybody over the head with our stuff. We're not supposed to be saying, oh, this way is the right way. I think that was another way that like some of the older people went wrong. But again, I feel like that was from fear too. Of just, I see where you're going and I know how it's going to end, and I don't want that for you, and I'm just going to like, please don't. But it's easier to draw people in when you're just kind of being magnetic in your happiness to where they're going. Oh, that actually looks good. I want a bit of that. How does that, you know, and then they'll come to you and they'll ask you, how are you doing that? How does that work? You know, like, teach me your ways type of thing. So I generally feel like we're on the right path. I'm really, really encouraged. I'm really, really excited. Like I said, I'm honored every single day to be a part of it. Hey, Antipodes. So yeah. So that's pretty much all I wanted to do. We got a good little bit of stuff in here. It's been an hour and 29 minutes, almost an hour and 30 minutes. So with that, I want to thank you guys. I'm sorry, Antipodes is over. I want to thank you guys for joining me. I apologize again for not being on yesterday. I wasn't feeling well, and I came in a little late today because I was doing this. I recorded. So I had recorded a makeup tutorial before, but I'm still working on, because I use the old video camera. I can't make the file small enough to be able to fit on in the program and on the devices I'm using, because the devices are of now and the video camera was of then. So anyway, I made a new one. So I will be uploading that between probably tomorrow. So look out for that. And I'm going to start doing more of those. Deanne, she came in late. Deanne, thank you so much. I was talking about the relationship between older women and younger women and the ways that guys will. Thank you, Davis. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. I've been waiting on that because you skin zaddy. So thank you for that. But yeah, I was talking about the relationship between younger women and older women in the ways that men are kind of trying to come between that and why, and the ways that we as older women can make it more enticing for younger women to want to come and sit at our feet or sit beside us. And get that wisdom and know that they are supported and know that it's not coming from a place of bitterness or not wanting them to enjoy what we can't have, because nobody wants us anymore type of thing. And so, yeah. And what are you saying? She said the skin is, thank you so much. Purr. But yeah, I just was closing out. I did invite people up if they wanted to. So I will, since we have more people coming in, if you want to just come, even if you just want to say hi, you don't have to talk about the subject. I just mentioned you too, Deanne. I mentioned how you were talking about with Bible study that we're not supposed to try to browbeat or coerce people into thinking the way that we think and feeling the way that we feel. And that's basically what I was saying. Like, we just have to focus on living good lives out loud where people can see it and they will naturally be drawn to the energy that we're putting out. She says, I'll be kind and rewind. Half my life is helping younger women who were once girl students of mine. Yep, exactly. You of all people know. And the thing is, I was always drawn to you. I never felt like you were looking down your nose, even though you could. You very well could, but you've always been so gracious and so welcoming and so nurturing to all of us. And I appreciate you so much for that. And I thank you and give you your flowers for that. And most definitely, even with Bible study, I am so honored to be in Bible study with you, because I remember when I was going through my stuff with my baby father and I was about to get kicked out and everything. But during that time, one of the things that I was just like, I want to be a woman of God. I want to be a woman of God. And I feel like that is something that I am accomplishing through coming to Bible study with you, or something that, I am anchoring even more so in that desire for myself. So I want to take this moment to publicly thank you for what you're doing with our Bible study. Yes, give her flowers, everybody. So with that, that's pretty much it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. I promise I will be here. Well, God willing, I don't get sicker, because I really legitimately wasn't feeling good yesterday. But I will be here next week. Even if it winds up not being Wednesday, I'm still going to come next week. And thank you, Alicia. He said, is Bible study here on YouTube? She so if you follow Deanne Matthews, that's DeeAnn. Matthews is MATHEWS. She posts Bible study things there. I think there's a public Bible study group in the Discord as well. I don't remember. Look, in fact, I got Discord here. Where is it? Let's see. What is this? Oh, come on. I don't know. I will. I know you would. Thank you. I will post it in the if we have public Bible study, I will post it in the comments of this video when I finish sometime tonight, because I can't find it right now. She says, see how I'm going to come up on, oh no, don't cry. Don't cry. You are doing the work you were assigned to do, and it is, but I don't know if you caught it, but I was almost crying myself. So don't it's a good cry. I feel the spirit moving. Oh, there he goes. Her channel. If you have Discord, consider getting an account. Yeah, because we have a public Bible study in the Discord, I believe. And but definitely go when whatever we talk about in Bible study, she does talk about and post on her channel after the fact. So thanks. Just subscribe and when download Discord. Good. If you're not subscribed to the end, yes, do yourself a favor. Get that done ASAP, immediately, expeditiously. Okay, so I'm gonna go now. I love you all. I really, really, truly do. I'm excited that I don't have to wait another day. I like something. There's something about these Thursday lives because it gives me something to do before the Friday lives. Because I feel like Wednesday and Thursday are too long to wait for another live. Everybody's coming late. Jeez, Louise. Hi, Tiff. She said, I was cruelly treated by many older Black women, been through it, years of it. I was not called to perpetuate the fool. I would have loved to talk to you about it, because I was saying, like, I didn't experience, I don't feel like I experienced hate. I actually had experienced more hate from younger women, if I'm being honest. Like, I got jumped a couple times by girls who were younger than me because of boys and stuff like that. So that's actually weird. I hadn't even thought about that till right now. She said football. Oh yeah, I understand. It's not a problem. She said absolutely too long. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and play this outro before anybody else pops back in. But thank you guys, and I will see you tomorrow in the chat for Famous' Life.